Thank you, Dilip. I'll just take, I think there are a couple of facts that I would like to really focus our efforts on. I think important thing is that we all recognize that skills have to be in line with competencies and academia. And that I think is our main challenge to reach there. So while we accept that there is a need for skilling, the underlying foundation is weak. Only 13% of our students GER is in higher education. We also have a huge issue with the whole graduate system that we have. So if I may compliment what Mr. Khare was saying, we've improved a lot. We had 7,500 or so graduate colleges in 1990. Today we are over 21,000. But having said that, 61% of them are unemployable. If you look at another fact, again, just sticking to facts, is informal sector is very broad. Almost, if you look at it, the domestic worker, beautician, all the service sectors is 30%. Construction forms another 30%. Logistics another 30%. So these are huge numbers in these sectors who are in the informal sector. So it's not, informal sector cannot be bucketed into one, but it is across domains and sectors. We have people who are not so to call in the formal sector with proper jobs, with career paths, and the worst still is they get de-skilled because they're moving between two sectors, between agriculture and between with the sector that they're actually in a sense getting bread and butter from. I also believe that we need to think very differently for India in terms of capacity building. While we require master trainers and we require to have that whole domain expertise and teaching expertise to be brought to the fold, we have to remember that our domain specialists themselves would not have capacities. The people that they're training would not even be 12th pass, which means they would not have completed graduation. So our teaching methodology is required to be really thought through. And I think that's the biggest challenge, because all modalities which we have tried to develop, assumes a certain minimum educational qualification. Without that educational qualification, I think we need to think through. I think what is really heartening, especially for people who are at the ground, is that we are thinking multiple pathways. But multiple pathways and career paths assume a certain increase in wages as one moves up. And that's a big challenge in today's economic environment. I mean, it's not necessarily related to education, but employability, increase in wages, it has a very strong linkage there. I just want to sort of touch on a point which was said in the earlier thing by Mr. Srimanta on financing. See, the issue is who pays. Students paying is a big problem in India because of the lack of career path. So when students paying is a big issue, sometimes it sounds, we probably have to make the investment like we make investment in roads and power. Like in electricity, there's an initial investment which has to be taken up by corporates, by government in order for us to facilitate it. I say this because when we are looking at the entire ecosystem, the skilling ecosystem in India needs to be articulated. I think we have a lot to learn from Australia, a lot to learn from Germany, but the fact is this, I mean, this is probably every Indian says this and I'm going to repeat it, the population of Germany is probably as much as one of our states in Andhra Pradesh. So our scale is enormous, our diversity is enormous. I don't mean to excuse ourselves for not being where we should be with competencies, but any mechanism we need to take up needs to address that scale issue, and that's where I think a large amount of challenge is there. I will stop here, but just to sort of sum up, for us it's not about skilling alone. One needs to look at a number of other issues, like for instance, let me just take another example, apprenticeship. We have close to 3 lakh apprenticeship in a country of this size, whereas Germany has 6 lakhs, Japan has 11 lakhs. if lakhs is if you look at it in 100,000s, 600,000, 1100,000. So we don't have the whole ecosystem for raising skills while people are learning. You know, that whole pathway between exit and entry is a problem for us. And I completely agree that both NSDC as well, the sector skill councils and AICT have really worked a lot on the NVQF. But I think the comparability, the whole match between the three institutions actually and three ministries practically is very critical for a on-the-ground implementation. We are expecting a lot out of the private sector, but private sector needs to gain. Only then will private sector invest. I think that's something that we need to recognize. They will not come forward if they do not see profits. I think that's the reality today that we are in. Dilip, I hope I've stuck to my 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.